The observation deck of the Starlight Seeker was silent, save for the low hum of the ship's systems and the soft, contented sigh of its lone occupant. Zorp, a Xylorian botanist, was in a state of pure bliss. His 4 primary eyes were closed, his 2 secondary ones slowly blinking in sequence as he gently stroked the velvety leaf of his newest specimen, a Terran St. Paulia ionantha, or African violet. His people, the Xylorians, were a species of gentle, photosynthetic humanoids who communicated through subtle shifts in the chlorophyll patterns on their skin and gentle, floral scents. They had joined the Galactic Coalition centuries ago, prized for their unparalleled botanical knowledge and serene temperaments. Romance, for Xylorians, was a slow, beautiful process of planting a seed together in a sacred grove and nurturing the resulting sapling for a decade until a new consciousness budded from it. To Zorp, humans were fascinating, if utterly bewildering, colleagues. They were loud, energetic, and their biological processes were a mystery he'd never really pondered. Until tonight. The door to the observation deck hissed open, breaking his meditation. 2 of the ship's human crew members, engineers Lena and Marco, stumbled in, laughing. They were clearly off duty. Zorp's skin flushed a pale blue of mild annoyance. He had hoped for a quiet shift, but it quickly shifted to a curious green as he realized they hadn't noticed him in the dim light. They stood by the large viewport, watching the nebula swirl in shades of violet and gold. Their laughter softened. Lena leaned her head on Marco's shoulder. Zorp's botanical mind appreciated the symmetry of the pose. Then, the process began. Marco turned to Lena. They moved closer. Their faces connected. Zorp's secondary eyes snapped wide open. His photosynthetic pores contracted in confusion. What is this ritual? A exchange of nutrients? A silent, face-to-face conference? The kiss deepened. Marco's hands moved to Lena's back, pulling her closer. Lena's fingers tangled in Marco's hair. Zorp's skin flickered through a spectrum of colors: confusion, yellow; intrigue, violet; and then sheer, unadulterated shock, a vibrant, alarmist red, as he witnessed the next step. Hands began to roam, clothing was adjusted, and soft, breathy sounds filled the quiet room. To Zorp, it looked less like a conference and more like a complex, writhing, and surprisingly enthusiastic wrestling match. He was simultaneously horrified and utterly captivated. This was a form of interspecies interaction never covered in the Coalition's databases. The event reached its conclusion, followed by soft laughter, a final, brief face connection, and the 2 humans straightening their uniforms. As they turned to leave, a floor light glinted off Zorp's now neon-green, utterly stunned form. Zorp! Lena yelped, jumping back. Stars above, we didn't see you there. Marco ran a hand through his already mussed hair. Hey, buddy. How much of that did you see? Zorp's voice, usually a soft rustling sound, came out as a high-pitched squeak. I observed the entire symbiotic ritual. I have so many questions. Lena's face turned a deep shade of crimson. It's not okay, you know what? It's late. We should all just go to bed. They practically fled the deck. Zorp remained, his mind reeling. He spent the rest of his shift frantically accessing the human sector of the galactic net, his botanical heart pounding with a rhythm it had never known before. He read articles, watched educational videos, his skin turned a permanent shade of embarrassed magenta for a full hour, and consumed centuries of human literature, art, and film on the subject. The Xylorian word for it was glissandra, the slow blooming. The human word was sex. And it was everywhere. It was the core of their art, their drama, their very culture. It was how they reproduced. The concept was mind-boggling. It was chaotic, messy, inefficient, and involved a frankly alarming amount of fluid exchange. And yet, it also looked incredibly fun. A new, overwhelming desire took root in Zorp. He didn't just want to understand it. He wanted to try it. Chapter 2. Zorp found engineer Lena the next day in the botany lab, where she was delivering a nutrient solution. She still looked slightly embarrassed. Lena, Zorp began, his skin pulsing a sincere, apologetic blue. I apologize for my intrusion last night. My curiosity overrode my manners. It's okay, Zorp, she said, smiling. We should have checked the room. Bit of a shock for you, I bet. A profound one, Zorp agreed, his tendrils twitching with excitement. I have conducted extensive research. I now understand the basic principles of human recreational and procreative conjugation. Lena choked on her own breath. You what? It is a fascinatingly inefficient yet wildly popular method of bonding and reproduction. The hormonal cascade alone is incredible. The risk-reward ratio is terribly balanced, which explains so much of your species' dramatic history. Okay, wow, Lena said, holding up a hand. Let's just, maybe slow down. But Zorp was vibrating with enthusiasm. He leaned in closer, his large eyes wide with innocent, burning curiosity. Lena, the data is clear. But theory is no substitute for practical application. A cold dread trickled down Lena's spine. Zorp, no. The coalition encourages interspecies cultural exchange, he pleaded, his skin blooming a hopeful pink. This is a core tenet of human culture. I wish to be immersed. You can't be immersed in that. Why not? My biomass is compatible in form. I am a quick study. I can even modulate my scent to be more appealing. Would you prefer a lavender or a sandalwood pheromone? Lena stared, her mouth agape. This was a diplomatic incident waiting to happen. How do you explain the concept of consent and attraction to a being who thinks of reproduction as gardening? Zorp, listen to me, she said, putting her hands on his leafy shoulders. It doesn't work like that. It's not a cultural demonstration. It's personal. You have to have a connection with someone. Zorp's skin flickered to a confused yellow. A connection? You mean a neural link? I can interface with the ship's computer, would that help? No. An emotional connection. You have to like them. Be attracted to them. My research indicates human attraction is based on symmetrical features, health indicators, and social status. My features are symmetrical for my species. My chlorophyll levels indicate peak health. And I am the senior botanist on this vessel. My status is adequate. Lena was losing the battle. She had to try a different tactic. Fear. Zorp, the act itself. It's dangerous for non-humans. The energy expenditure is tremendous. It could cause a photosynthetic crash. You could wilt. Zorp drew himself up to his full height, a proud deep green. I have calculated the caloric expenditure. It is less than a standard Xylorian growth ritual. I am prepared. Desperate, Lena played her final card. The captain. She'd never allow it. It's against regulations. At that moment, the comms system chimed. Engineer Petrov to the botany lab. Captain's orders. We just got a Priority 1 directive from Coalition Command. Lena sighed with relief. Saved by the bell. See. Duty calls. We'll talk about this later, okay? She turned to leave, but Zorp followed, his curiosity now laser-focused on this new development. They arrived on the bridge to find Captain Ives looking grim. Petrov, good. We have a problem. The Odysseus, a human colony ship, has gone dark near the Xylorian border. Their last transmission was fragmented. They mentioned a blight affecting their biodomes. Zorp's skin paled to a sickly gray. A blight? That is serious. Command wants our best botanist to go aboard with an engineering team and assess the situation, the captain said, looking directly at Zorp. It could be a simple systems failure, or it could be a Class 9 biohazard. You'll take a shuttle with Engineer Petrov. Suit up. Full quarantine protocols. The mission was dangerous, the mood suddenly tense. As they moved toward the shuttle bay, Zorp's thoughts were no longer on human conjugation rituals. They were on blights, plagues, and the fragile nature of life. He looked at Lena, who was pulling on her environmental suit, her face tight with professional concern. The connection he'd been so desperate to understand moments ago suddenly felt trivial. Now, he felt a different, deeper connection, a shared purpose, a mutual concern for survival. He gently tapped her arm. "Lena," he said, his voice back to its soft rustle. "I am sorry for my earlier request. It was inappropriate. My priority is the mission." Lena looked at him, her expression softening. "It's okay, Zorp. Really. Let's just go make sure everyone on that ship is okay." As the shuttle detached from the Starlight Seeker and flew toward the silent, dark colony ship, Zorp realized something. He might not understand human reproduction, but he was beginning to understand something far more important, what it meant to be a crewmate. And for now, that was enough.